to Poets Know It here at CAM Studios in Erie, PA on West 12th Street. I'm Thasia Ann, and I am ready to have some fun tonight. I hope you are also. I have lots of poetry news, so I'm going to do some of that real quickly for you. Each poet will come up and do their own poems, and each poet may have some poetry news also. We will be at Werner Books from 2 to 4 to read Poetry to a Child, and that will be on September 14th from 2 to 4. Werner Books is in the Liberty Plaza. We had loads of fun last year with the kids and free cookies and stuff, so come on out if you have grandkids, kids, neighbors' kids. Just grab a kid off the street. No, we don't want anybody getting in trouble. September 11th, we're going to be at the Albion Fair in the Arts and Crafts Barn from 2 to 3 and 7 to 8, reading fun fair-type poetry. It's a blast. We have a lot of fun, and there's an open mic afterwards, after the features. And there's probably 2 or 3 poets out there, 3 at least, that have read at the Albion Fair before. So come on out and have some fun. And lastly, on September 28th, from 2 to 4, again at Werner Books, one of my favorite places to be. This time will be for 100,000 Poets for Change, and we kind of have a theme this year of Love is the Answer. This is poetry to help the world start to feel righted again. And we have features, and then there will also be an open mic. So please come on out. That's September 28th from 2 to 4. I'm going to read a very new poem. Years and years ago, I wrote a poem about walking down by Cappuccino's in the evening, and the streetlight was on behind me, and my shadow got thinner and thinner and was really cool and exciting looking. Well, a couple of days ago, my husband and I were out walking the dog, and I looked at my shadow, and it was not a thin ninja anymore. So this is about that. It was at the time of day that doesn't know. She walked briskly, always hurried, always wary. As the sun set behind her, she smiled as her shadow grew taller. With her slight apprehension as darkness would be here soon, she imagined a ninja warrior, taking shape, tall and thin and graceful, and her confidence grew exponentially. Thank you. And the last one I'm going to read here before I start bringing people up. This started with reading something that was written by someone else, Laura DeVries. I'll read that short thing, and then I'll read what I got from that. Butterflies have a liquid in the core of their body, and as they struggle to get out of the cocoon, that liquid is pushed into the veins of the butterfly wings, where it hardens and makes the wings strong. If the butterfly doesn't push and pull and fight to get out of the cocoon, his wings will not be strong enough to fly, and then the butterfly dies. Without the struggle, there are no wings. Do not take away someone's opportunity to grow by trying to fix them or rescue them from their trials. Without struggles, they will not have wings. Laura DeVries. This is what I got from that. Fighting butterfly. A child locked inside a cocoon, fighting to escape abuse and poverty, knowing it would never be soon enough to no longer be their property. I needed to push, pull, and fight to gain strength within my wings. Fortitude alone brings about flight, because without struggle, there are no wings. And my heart was a fighting butterfly that just would not quit. I stood my ground and always found the perfect way out of it. And once I achieved first flight, I knew there was no way back. I prepared for a fierce fight, not vulnerable to their attack, because my heart was a fighting butterfly that just would not quit. And I stood my ground and always found the perfect way out of it. Thank you. All right, we're going to bring our first poet up for the night. Eeny, meeny, miny, no. There's Chuck smiling and ready to go.
Thank you, Deja.
You're welcome.
I'm very happy to come up here in a hurry. This is my favorite thing. You know that. You don't like to keep me waiting. This is working well. Poetry TV. I just love it. Thanks for having us. I'd like to read 4 poems tonight. The first one is a seasonal poem. The season for this is kind of rapidly passing, but this is my chance to add it here. This is a poem about a personal meteorological event. The Alternox. The Alternox, an individual recognition, the first hint from the next season, from the major seasons, summer, winter, the poles of the year. The Alternox, it's a personal experience. Thus, after long months, months of winter, bitter winter, many months, the survivor might note birdsong through an open window, feel summer on the way, just the slightest taste, the Alternox. The Alternox, not the end of winter, just the end of only winter. Conversely, after months of lovely summer, nothing but a cool breeze, a certain gray shade of cloud, a barely measurable temperature drop, a sense, the tiniest breath from winter, a kiss. The Alternox. The Alternox. It's a personal experience. The first hint from the next season, summer or winter, unique to every person, the Alternox. Thank you. That's a 2-voice poem. The other voice is even in italics. Okay, so I told Thasia I had some personal references rather than covers tonight. And the first one is for George Wallace. George Wallace, he's been in Erie. He wrote a poem and posted it called Sophia. And I think it had in it a sort of symbolic character named Sophia. And I was inspired to write the following poem. So it has an epigraph after George Wallace. Sophia, after George Wallace. It feels like Greece, a waterfront location, everything blue and white, including the sea and the sky. We share a table, blue and white porcelain cups filled with the style of coffee they drink at such waterfront locations in Greece. Gulls cry, awnings flap in the wind. Steel drum music from overhead speakers. We observe the morning rush, office workers, retail, shutters going up, the arrival of a ferry, all the fishermen gone before dawn. One woman draws my attention. My companion knows her. He nods, says, Sophia. Sophia used to be really something. Thank you. After George Wallace. George Wallace will be coming to Erie in December. Stay tuned. More on that later. Right now, here's another poem, entirely different, but along kind of a similar line of personal reference. Poetry Club. Imagine we're at Birdland, the jazz club. Except here's called Blue Planet. And instead of jazz musicians, poets, narrow ranks of poets seated on stage. The bar has filled, so has every table, ours for 2 toward the back. Sold out, full house, staff stand at the doors. A host appears, applause. He gestures toward the poets. More applause. He says, We have one of the greats in the audience tonight. And instead of Tommy Flanagan, it's John Burroughs. Yay. And the poetry news is that John Burroughs will be live in Erie at Warner Books next Wednesday, September 10th, 1 week from today at 6 p.m. You might want to arrive early. So I'm going to conclude with a two-part poem. This poem also has an epigraph. It says, "After the Child Psychiatry Art Committee." And I'm reading it because it gives me an opportunity to point out that this poem, like some others, is going to seem to be about me, but it's still poetry, so it's not exactly me. Right? This is called Identity. After the Child Psychiatry Art Committee. 1. Identity. Identities. I avoid some, wish for others, celebrate several. Peaceful, obsessive, intelligent, there are exceptions. Musical, reliable. My father, one of the smart ones. I identify Italian. Where I live, the Italians produce a festival around a church every August, a neighborhood church, now a mission of a combined parish. School closed long ago. Its heyday 2 generations back. Yet the festival thrives, staffed by volunteers, dinners and tents and entertainment. I guess the children cherish the country their parents are glad to have missed. This festival makes a nice statement of Italian. That's why I attend, starting with Mass. 2. I search for a choice seat. Slide past an attractive woman, attractive like magnets. She flashes too, but we play it cool. She's with her husband. The liturgy concluded. A vested deacon provides a short speech. All provocative jokes about Calabrese versus Siciliani and vice versa. Smiling, we follow a happy statue of the Madonna out the door and around 2 blocks before joining the party, already in progress. There is something exactly right among the crowd. I'm standing at a small table outside a tent, holding a Peroni. A big asphalt parking lot surrounded by pale brick buildings and gray wire fence. Today, the tents, the bunting, everything tricolore, green, white, and red. The entertainment, a troupe of traditional Italian dancers. When she reappears at the next table, the attractive woman, still with her husband, but now also holding a Peroni. Thank you. Thank you, Acacia. My favorite thing is over.
Now you have to wait another whole month, Chuck. Another whole month. All right, this is a poem I wrote within the last 6 months. All the talk about the library and the new library, which I still refer to as the new library on the bay. But as a child, I went to the old library on the park. And so I will let this tell the story. Small girl with big dreams, I loved going there, where the giant stone steps were worn down in the center from all the footfalls that fell upon them for hundreds of years. And the hand-carved small gate that used to count all the souls entering. The musty scent of 1,000,000 pages of ancient paper. Bookshelf soldiers in formation, not daring to breach, at attention and proud to hold those books, baby books, soft and hard, aged books, brittle, crumbling like leaves in the fall. Yesterday, Chuck and I had the pleasure of going to Mentor and meeting with a poet friend of ours that lives in California. He is the person who started the Poetic Institute of Medicine, and his name is John Fox. And he gave me a book, so I decided to honor John Fox tonight and read this poem that I know he really likes. When someone deeply listens to you, when someone deeply listens to you, it's like holding out a dented cup you've had since childhood and watching it fill up with cold, fresh water. When it balances on top of the brim, you are understood. When it overflows and touches your skin, you are loved. When someone deeply listens to you, the room where you stay starts a new life, and the place where you wrote your first poem begins to glow in your mind's eye. It's as if gold had been discovered. When someone deeply listens to you, your bare feet are on the earth, and a beloved land that seemed distant is now home within you. John Fox. All righty, I'm scanning the crowd, and I'm looking at Barbara. Come on up, front and center. You all need to be ready when I'm up here doing the scan.
Hello, it's great to be here again. Such a wonderful opportunity. I brought a few poems. One poem here is not relatively new. I wrote it when we were trying to save the McBride Viaduct, the bridge on the east side that so many people living over there depended on, and we fought so hard to save it, but we failed. It's entitled The Bridge. I weep for the fallen bridge I have crossed in solidarity with the stars that shine in the human constellation. I have never walked it of necessity to meet life on the other side, to keep the pantry filled, to hold the hand of a suffering soul. Tear down barriers, not bridges. Unite both ends of the argument, that the circle be unbroken and love flow free. A train whistle pleads in the distance, warning potential danger, as caution slips away, asking, who will stand as watchman? Here am I, send me. Thank you. The train whistle was referencing the reason that the bridge was built in the first place by Father McBride. He was advocating for children who had been killed crossing the railroad tracks, and that's why they built that bridge in the first place. This one is entitled Revelation 10, and I'm referencing a verse in that chapter of the book that has always kind of troubled me. Not necessarily troubled me, maybe I'm just curious. Revelation 10. What secrets did the voices of the seven thunders speak? Did they proclaim the end of those loved from birth? Or the shades drawn on the mind of a man once wise and full of music? What secrets did the voices of the seven thunders speak? Were they multitudes too large for John the Revelator to capture with his simple words? Did they overflow the boundaries of the sentient mind of man? Now, when thunder claps, I open wide to listen, and lately, the message endlessly repeats, utopia is a slaughterhouse. Thank you. And the final one, as some of you know, we unexpectedly lost our firstborn almost a year ago, September 28th, last year. And One of our sons told me that she had appeared to him in a dream, and it kind of blew my mind because I've lost a lot of loved ones, and no one ever visited me in a dream before. But lo and behold, a few weeks later, she visited me as well. The poem is called The Visitor. She came first to your dream. Weeks later, she visited mine. Where in the interlude did she wander, finding hearts that yearn to see, to feel, to touch again? She smiled and toyed with me like a child. You brought a cupcake with a candle to celebrate the birthday lost to this world, now in another. I have her voice in song when I can bear to listen, or need to cleanse my heart with a flood of tears. Each night I wonder, will she come again, wearing wings of wind-swept clouds or moonbeams in her eyes? Once I waited 9 months. I can wait 9 million more. Thank you.
One of the things that I love that happens here is that you can have a plan of what poems you plan to read, have them all set up. But then somebody reads one. And I remembered that I just happened to have my book Poetography in my bag because I'm taking it somewhere else. And in that book is a poem called The Bridge. And that, I think, is where we met, Barbara, is championing to keep that bridge. I think that's where it was. And the bridge, if you're not familiar with it, the East Avenue Bridge, is right beside a whole bunch of factories. And Bear and I were walking along the bridge while someone else was reading, and this came to me. This bridge, between old and new, past and present, skeletal remains of thick brick spattered against faded pastel red violet blue sky. Death is peeking through broken glass parchment skin that for decades has been held together by rivers of ancient ivy. Metal elephant trunks burst from the side of the buildings and thirst for more. And doors headed to nowhere, encumbered by spigots, spouts, and spindles, which reach to breach rising smokestacks that pierce the clouds and allow the formations to escape. Thank you. I think the next poet up to read is going to be Laura Rutland.
Thank you, and thanks to Thasia for letting me sit up here, so it's just a little less of a drama to get me to the front. These poems are sort of brand new, probably not fully formed yet, actually, but this has been a summer of just a lot of issues that have brought aging to the fore, and nothing serious, but scares, and I ended up writing some poems processing that. The first one, As Long as I Can See. I want to notice the rabbits, their soft fur, their quick leaps, their frozen stillness when I open the door. As long as I can see, I want to visit the bay, watch the white sails, the white tops on breezy afternoons. I want to gather sunsets in the basket of my memory for darker days. As long as I can see, I want to look at the flowers my friend planted, their brightly colored faces. I want to see my friend's face and the faces of all the people, the ones I love and the ones I do not know. As long as I can see, I want to read the words on the page, watch the way they unfold with the motions of my pen, the print on the page, my words, others' words, for as long as I can see. This is called Shining. When my mother's spine collapsed in the end, they had to lift her from her chair to the bed each night. She cried out in pain, but through the walls I heard not just her suffering, but another thing, the soft, gentle voices of her helpers, loving, soothing her. And I saw a light. It filled that house, held us all in radiant hands, so strong we could never be dropped. For minutes, I rocked in that light, a light that softened shadows, pushed back darkness. May it lighten in this last quarter or 10th or 5th of my life, the heaviness of motion and of letting go one thing, then another. So much has already been given and held, the lightest treasure, out of sight, hidden inside, where nothing can ever harm it. And this is the last one. This is Season's End. It is all changed, even though it is not changed at all. The trees still turn brown. Leaves fall after the blaze of autumn is over. Most of the things I lost remain lost. Many of the things I long for will never be. I am still getting old. My spine is still doing whatever it's doing, twisting or crumbling or a little both. It doesn't work so well. But it all looks different now, as if somehow the lens of my heart has changed and the world changed with it. Or as if a fresh water well had been dug deep within me to replace a cistern that used to sour the air with every poison that ever burned me. Oh, I am still grumpy. I don't like to need help. But love wears so many faces, and trees are so beautiful, covered in leaves or snow or the bare grace of their empty arms.
Thank you, Laura Rutland. All right, I'm going to do an older one because I was talking about eagles with someone within the last couple days, and I just stumbled across my eagle poem. So it's called Hardwired. Eagles are hardwired to fly and glide, eyes wide open, to spot movement miles below, dive fast, hover slow, until the exact perfect moment when hunger pangs push the button so that talons open and close with military precision, not from a decision, but because they are hardwired and never too tired to eat. All right, I think my eyes landed on Gary. You're the next contestant on Poets Know It.
So I brought a few tidbits from a collection of poetry that relates to the natural world. The first one, called Tent. The fragile membrane that releases the restless soul from the confines of the plaster box of floors and walls, protects from wind and rain, and invites nature to be a friend, allows the firmness of the ground beneath to strengthen attachment to the earth, orchestrates the chorus of crickets at dusk, and amplifies the silence of the night. Invites the evening chill to permeate the skin and drains the colors from the day to gray. Inspires a relaxed mind behind closed eyes to generate new wonder. The fragile membrane that creates a space of tiny immensity until the morning sun reminds you this is not where you usually wake up. Watkins Glen, a demonstration of the speed of slow time. 25 centuries later, the rush of the water releases the 4-ton rock for a 2-second, 30-foot splash into the pool below. Beginning again, the next 1,000-year move of 3 more inches on the journey down the gorge. The mix of water, gravity, and time to produce erosion. In the end, all religions will declare sins against the garden to be mortal sins. As it was with Adam and Eve in the beginning, so it will be for us. Neglect, abuse of the garden, Eden, earth, will be the death of us all.
Thank you, Gary. This is a older poem. We'll announce that it is pre-Bear. I was at the Friday night bookstore doing, and that's where I wrote this, and I read it there a couple times. Questions. Words fly out of my mouth as fast as thoughts sail into a brain filled with pain or good humor, depending on the day. Do I have the strength to stand on those syllables and principles? This crazy life of mine based on a house of cards or words, can they stack high enough to protect me from the wind of the wolf's howl? Can the water from the tears in my eyes moisten the ground at my feet enough to let me take root and grow again? Questions. And it was weeks later I met Bear, and those questions were answered. All right, let me see. How about Clayton? Come on up, or down, or whatever you, I guess it's up the step. So we can't play the Bob Barker, come on down.
Hi. Before I get started, I was just going to say there's on Saturday at 1:30, or from 1:30 to 3 in the Blasco Library, room 219. We're going to have like a poetry workshop, so it's an Erie community poetry workshop that's sponsored by the anthology that we're creating. And we're going to be going over ekphrastic poetry, so thinking about the relationship between art and poetry. But Blasco Library on this Saturday from 1:30 to 3. And then after, Poets Against Racism and Hate will also have a workshop, so theirs will start at 3 in the same place. So come on out. There's lots of opportunities to work this weekend. All right, and this first poem, it's after Mark Halliday. He wrote this great poem called "Catch Up in Heaven," and I was working with him in Ohio and read this, and I was like, oh, let me try and sound like him a little bit. So this is my attempt. It's called "A Splash of Sauce." Don't you hate when the lid no longer fits the way God intended, tightly over the simmer of bolognese, bits of boiling red, escaping through the seam, burning your forearm in tight splotches, ignorable for the time being. It's likely the sides have bowed because the lid's glass and the steel of the pot is cheap. Not that it matters, because the burns are too small for ice, and the pain lasts only a moment. But it's enough to distract from stares, because where you come from, penis-burdened people don't cook, at least not in the kitchen, except on some special occasion. They don't know this is your heaven, moments of solitude that cocoon your concentration, isolate your mind, and let you slow into an easy pace where you can revel in your demasculated joy. And if they judge this moment, wait until they see the pink unicorn apron that you break out solely for baking. Heaven for you is caked in flour, dredged in buttermilk. It is when patience finally pays off. In heaven, the burners stay clean, and the oven's heat matches the set temperature. It is where the frills of your apron pair with the skirt underneath and the boots poking out from below. In heaven, springform pans never leak. Heaven is a place where you only need to correct a person once for misgendering you, and she will apologize and say the right pronoun and not trip over her ego passing you in the hall, and she will not whisper eggs filled with doubt, shove you back in the closet with a finger poke dripped in mustard, because the masses for once will not side with her. And when your cake is removed from the heat, resting on the cooling rack, you will have time to read a much longer novel. All right. All right, this one I've been reading a lot lately, but I like it, and so I'm going to read it again. But death, I imagine, wears a floral patterned dress that brings out their ethnically ambiguous bone structure and gray gold beard because they deserve to be seen as pretty or masculine, yet neither and both, or some other adjective entirely. And if they really ride in a Victorian carriage, stopping to converse with Emily Dickinson, then I bet they've got a pair of Doc Martens planted on the planked floor, so bulky they can't feel the squirm when they step on Dickinsonian toes. Death, I believe, desires to be demure when the occasion calls for it, which is rare, romanticized, canonically rude. Death certainly necessitates loudness, needs to shout that their handiwork has left something rotten in the confession booth that is their bed. And if death really is as sexy as the goth femboy on my Facebook leads me to believe, then perhaps my moment face to face with them will end in the kind of blurted flirtation with honesty that memoir kept me from knowing anyone alive. And this last one's a little bit more abstract than I normally write, but I love like Solmaz Sharif, if you ever read her work, and like so there's I wanted to again in practicing and learning and growing as a poet, kind of learn to incorporate a little bit more of the abstract of what I was doing. So we'll see. I don't even know what this means. So maybe you do. It's called Transfiguration. Resurrected, I arrived to a new city, darkly luminescent. To reincarnate again, name only slightly altered in the dusk of oncoming traffic. I shed the next layered mask of its elasticity, rip from it plaster or latex or rubber or skin. This is my authentic self, I scream to no one listening in the funeral arena where blood flakes across a thin stream in the middle of a bullfight. It is around midnight when I strip naked, bathe in electricity misting a neon sign, and live slowly, dying on the head of a pin. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Clayton. All right, the next one I'm going to read is by Deborah Doolittle, and it's out of Cackalack that I was introduced to through M. Scott, who will be up here in a little while. And this particular poem is called Lines Borrowed from a Clothesline. Strung between two crooked crosses, a little backyard Calgary, hung with shrouds and the ghost of clothes like clouds that used to know the folks who wore them and bore them upright around town. Nothing hangs straight as memory. Beat sheets, bed sheets sagging like a bed dragging down the line, clothespins straddled that fence and pranced in mincing steps that pinched the hand, that needed them, feeling forlorn, quite literally abandoned. I will do that one another time and get it right. I apologize. All right, Jane, are you ready to come on down up? This is Jane McCartney. I won't even do the joke. Jane McCartney, not married to Paul.
As Clayton said, there is some free workshops this Saturday at Blasco Library in the afternoon. And the first one will be led by Clayton, and the second one is led by Patricia Thurston. She's a co-founder of Poets Against Racism and Hate, and I will be helping her with that workshop, and that one goes from 3 to 4:45. And like I said, they're free. Come on down, play with your words. This is a new one, and I just titled it last night, Dear Congress. Old Glory is sick, dying a slow death. She no longer flies, her wings clipped, hanging limp from the gallows. Do you see? She is quiet, fibers washed out, threadbare. I'm unable to discern red, white, blue, the stars and stripes gone. Are you watching? Is our flag just a cloth now, no longer representing sacrifices of our country's birth, no longer honored and treated with respect? Are you giving up? A faded and forgotten history, voices of the past, silenced. She hangs limp and lifeless. Can't you see? The sun will surely bleach it white, but I will not surrender. Thank you. This is another new one. It's called Lizard Tree. I see it from across the parking lot, the giant lizard. It's obviously not real, but a tree which, due to the wind and weather and my imagination, appears to have a monster lizard climbing its trunk. My mind takes over as I stare. The Godzilla with clawed feet clings to the trunk of the tree statue-like. Is it fleeing? Preparing to attack? Looking out the window, I wonder, will it still be there in 10 years? Will anyone have the imagination to see it? Thank you. This is Blue Apron, a typical small town diner. The Blue Apron is well known for homemade desserts, especially their apple pie. The menu boasts of daily specials, real mashed potatoes, and bottomless cups of coffee. There's a counter where the regulars sit, a few tables, and a couple booths along the wall where the jukebox used to be. Paneled walls decorated with photos and clippings deemed important by Bill, the diner's owner and cook, give the Blue Apron a real down-home atmosphere. Sitting at the counter enjoying my coffee and pie, I spied a little boy sitting with his parents in a booth. After a few minutes, he became restless. He looked at me and I smiled. Placing my hands over my eyes, I gave him the signal. With a giggle, he accepted the challenge, and the peekaboos began. For ages, this simple game has kept fidgety kids entertained. In today's world, though, peekaboo is played with parental trepidation towards any unknown adult showing interest in their child. Yet peekaboo is a game I will keep playing. Why? Because the world can get ugly, and when it does, I will hold my hands over my eyes until someone is willing to play. After all, I would rather view the world through the eyes of a child, wouldn't you? And as I mentioned, the workshop, Poets Against Racism and Hate, they have a website, and I had a poem put on there, and this is it. It's called When. When someone intentionally injures another and everyone looks away in silence, when anyone uses racial insults and others remain quiet, when there is an unwanted sexual advancement made upon another and everybody ignores it, when no one challenges evil words or actions, silence teaches. Silence is anything but silent. It speaks volumes. Thank you.
All right, way back in the corner is M. Scott Douglas. Can you make your way up? Here he comes.
Hello, hello. So I was preparing to read here, and I thought, I looked for this book. It's called Balancing on Two Wheels and Other Views from the Road. And it was published in 2003, so it's one of my older collections. But then I was thinking, okay, I always like to read something from somebody else, and I was looking for my friend Jonathan's poem. He, too, is an editor, and he wrote this one poem that is just perfect. He was sitting there, and his wife said to him, "So, what happens to all this stuff?" Jonathan's a bit of a pack rat. "What happens to all this stuff if you die?" And he goes, "That's a great idea." And he went and wrote a poem about it. So this is called Letter from a Deceased Editor. Dear Poet, in the event that you have received this letter, I probably had accepted some of your work for publication. Or I may have received your submission and had not read or responded to it yet. I am dead. And this is a form letter I composed and gave to my wife to send out to those who of interest in my magazine. Because I am dead, I am unable to comment on your work. However, please feel free to submit this work elsewhere. Send cards and letters to my family at the above address. In lieu of flowers, contributions should be made to your favorite charity. Along with me, the magazine is also dead. If you are a subscriber, too bad. My wife can barely afford to bury me. Please leave her alone in her grief and forget a refund. You're lucky enough to get this letter. Manuscripts will not be returned. I'm glad he wasn't here to hear me butcher it like that. So Jonathan's in Charlotte, where I lived for about 30 years. And I learned one thing is that I will never be a Southerner, no matter how long I live down there. And this poem's called Bible Belt Suburbia. In Bible Belt Suburbia, religious affiliation is the first question they ask new neighbors. If the answer is wrong, the door of their lives slams shut like a deacon's holy book. Immigrants do most of the manual labor. They're tough, reliable, needy. They don't know the language well enough to sense offense, but that's okay. They're only Catholics anyway. Sundays are reserved for traditional family values. Johnsons and Pettys, Earnhardts and Allisons, disciples of the oval track. Line them up, drop the flag. There's beer and wings and a pastor in pit row praying for the crew. They're a little loose in the turns in the Bible Belt. Even soccer moms drive minivans like NASCAR veterans. And every Baptist knows Scripture has no speed limit. And why should it when we've got God as our co-pilot? And as I've said before, I do a lot of motorcycle riding. And there's a beltway around Charlotte that, well, when it was first built, it may as well have been an oval track. This is called Silver Jag. In my rearview mirror, a silver Jag closes fast. He charges up behind me and flashes his headlights to emphasize his urgency. I'm in the passing lane at an on-ramp. I have no place to go. So I speed up to 75, zip past oncomers, and slide over. Silver Jag passes me at 80 plus, and it is sweet. Sun shimmering off an immaculate finish, cream-colored leather seats, moonroof. The driver has perfect hair, sports sunglasses, and a bleach white shirt with crisp collars. His shoes probably cost more than my entire wardrobe, and if he had the time, I'm sure he'd tell me, it's not silver, it's platinum. As he vanishes in the distance, I imagine the Harley he keeps in a garage and takes out to wax on weekends. Sometimes he loads it on a trailer and drags it to Myrtle Beach, where he cruises Ocean Boulevard in ratty jeans, black leather boots, and vest, sporting a 3-day-old stubble. I've seen a lot of silver Jags jetting around here lately. Further proof that pretentiousness is a fairly common paint job. Thank you.
All right, we still have someone out there who hasn't read yet. Are you coming up, Teresa?
That's okay. Hi, my name is Teresa Testrake, and I love being here, and I love hearing people read their poems, and I love being able to read mine. So this poem I wrote about 33 years ago when I moved from New York to Southern California. It was a big culture clash. And this poem is called Sonnet to the Suburbs. Now, my English teacher would say this is not really a sonnet, but it's good enough for me. So, Sonnet to the Suburbs. Two Hasids cross Yorba Linda Boulevard. Hollywood Video lets you rent for 5 nights. Whoever said suburbanites are slaves was wrong. Where else but in the lurking backyards can you find so much mystery of the rock-hard Albertsons variety, peaches and plums? Goodbye to forgotten cities. He who comes through my door will wear blue shirts with pink waves. He will be master of timing belts and tire rods, earn vast sums from technological sources. He'll sneak avocados past the tofu gods who reside in taupe faux stucco palaces. Oh, for my cockroachy walk-up Sands River breeze and a large sausage pizza with extra cheese. Thank you. Okay, these are 2 poems I've written recently. So they're still kind of in process, but this is their current forms. This one was an assignment. And anybody ever asks me, gives me an assignment, I'm a good little Catholic girl and I always do my assignments. And this poem is called Original Gangster. A tailored black suit stalks through my pen, has carried a gun since the sandbox, chomps a Vegas Pobena cigar. I was muted by marijuana, stolen by music, seduced by drama, but you came back. Said in a cheerful tone, you will need the balls of a Borgia, the heart of Machiavelli, sniper arms, many charms. You will listen to Puccini. You will not leave the compound again. Poetry is not an art for sissies. Poem. And this one, the last one, is a meditation on watching my grandsons. And it's called Freeport Beach. 3 boys, 1 blonde, 2 dark, unload, attack the water line, dry fish, lake glass, driftwood. They build castles of stone. Questions, why do the gulls cry? Is the water so cold? Why so many stones? The youngest cry is harried by his brothers. Boys will be conquerors. They will build castles. They will be invaders. The bastard, the North, Longshanks, Scotland, Putin, Ukraine. The people cry without words. The sun sinks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The horizon rises. The boys are hungry. Their hunger grows them. Their limbs will lengthen. They will discover ships. 3 sleepy, small heads. 1 blonde, 2 dark, go quiet. They will be conquerors. Men will build castles. Poem. Thank you.
All right, we still have a few minutes left. So is there anyone out there who still has the need to read? Anybody out there? Laura? All righty, well then I guess I will read one last one and then do our announcements and say good evening. This is an old poem. I was coming out of a lot of bad stuff and trying to restart my life, and it was before I met Bear, and so. Breaking the chains of bad habits, climbing on the train of what's to come, bracing for the wave of change that's happening, chasing away the pain left behind by some. Whitewashing walls of this new beginning, leaving the stains of mistakes behind. Windows wide open to receive fresh air, blowing out the cobwebs from the corner of my mind. Throwing my arms wide open to receive gifts of acceptance from above, powerful goodness offering a lift, bringing my life a most perfect love. Consistent, pure perfection, time eternal without end. Prince of Peace sends constant love. Trinity, the perfect blend. All right, I think that we are winding down tonight. This seems to be the end of the poetry for this evening. And if you live in Erie and love poetry, you can be a part of our audience. We're always the first Wednesday of each month. And I can't believe I did not look up.
Hi, everybody. We're going to restart our Angie